What is up, everybody? You are listening or watching to the Patty G Show. I am your host, Patty G, here with Robert Wise from ITinspired. Rob, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
And thanks for having me. This is great. Doing good so far.
Good deal. Good deal. So you're doing a lot of stuff, man. You are, especially since quarantine, you've been just getting all over the place. I guess as everybody has, you got to do something, otherwise you're going to drive yourself crazy.
True story.
So what are you up to?
Man, a lot. It seems like things just got super busy for me and for everyone else all at the same time. Go figure. So, man, right now it's live streaming, it's work, it's parenting, it's trying to fit in a worksheet or two for the kiddos. It's trying to stay above water in some sorts, and then trying to stay motivated and positive in others. And I feel like it's a shift among all of those, or at the same time, and it hits everybody differently. So I don't know. It's dynamic and fluid times we are seeing right now.
Yes. I end every one of my emails with, all right, this is my opinion as of today at this time. You ask me tomorrow, it very well could change.
You've got a timestamp. I mean, the information right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's ridiculous. So for those that aren't aware, what is ITinspired? Let's start there.
Okay. So I get lost, man. I will forget who you self-promote. You've got to remind me.
Yourself. Always promote yourself.
You're supposed to, right? But, So, ITinspired. What's ITinspired? I'll tell you what I think is ITinspired, and then I'll give you the sales pitch, okay? Because I feel like they might be one and the same, but different message. I mean, for me, ITinspired is a whole bunch of friends, family, and some cool tech stuff thrown in, a lot of laughs, high energy, inside jokes, and we get together as a team and get stuff done. But to relate that to people that would pay invoices or be looking for services, it comes down to more like, hey, ITinspired is a local and established IT services company. We are a managed services company in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, proudly supporting our local area, and a group of 20 or more people that have a personal approach to technology. That's what I would say, probably, maybe. But it's a Thursday. That's going to come out different on Friday, Patty.
That's right. Friday, it's going to be, I'm your IT guy. Let's get a drink.
Hey, what's bothering you? What can I help you with next week? That's what's going to be tomorrow.
Well, you're telling me you're not one of those entrepreneurs that's working 24/7 round the clock and 11 o'clock responding to emails?
Okay, so let me rephrase that. Yes, I'm one of those. But what's different now is the family gets to see it, right?
Yes.
It's different now. And the family's a part of it. Let's not even joke. All jokes aside, they're a part of it now. They're a part of the solution. They're a part of the problem, but they're in the mix. So, I'm always checking emails. I really don't ever turn off. I'm like your typical entrepreneur that just is keep going. I'm a visionary, so I'm always thinking. And then I'm a people person, so I'm always talking.
Both good qualities to have.
They can be overwhelming though.
Yeah. You got to find the right setting. You can't be in a room full of talkers and nobody gets to get a word in.
It's really loud, man. That's what people think about being around me all the time. It's just really loud. There's a lot of energy around here.
But hey, somebody's got to bring the energy, man. And if you don't, who will?
It's a curse. It's a blessing and a curse.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting you off track.
No. That's the show, man. Welcome to the Patty G Show. We go with it wherever the trail.
I'm going to take my flip flops off.
I'm in a linen shirt and some shorts, man. We're rocking the casual.
You're wearing
today.
Shorts?
Absolutely.
I'm not. Oh, never mind.
This remote podcasting and remote work has brought a whole new element to the term casual. There's a reason all the videos are chest up, right?
I know, man. I I had the hat ready to go backwards because COVID and stuff.
Right. Yeah. I did the post shower comb over. So got my running in for the day. Now I'm here.
My hair would have probably cooperated if I would have showered before this. I mean, I might have changed shirts before this. Who knows?
Hey, we're all getting through this one step at a time. So you're mainly an IT company, right? Yes. So I'm assuming you had an office space before the COVID.
Yep.
What does it look like now? What does the office space look like?
We're still going to have office space. I mean, we're still going to have office space. We were remote before. I mean, not everyone was remote at the same time. Let's be honest. I mean, if you need a remote day, a little mental health day, or, you had something going on at the house, you need to work from home for something, you were sick and want to just, rest up. That was already there. So we're lucky in IT to be extended that. But where I think the office space is going to change for us, and it's funny that we're talking about this because I was talking to Matt Laborde from Elephant Realty earlier this week, and you got to wonder how this is going to impact all businesses, and not just
right.
I'm thinking about mine, but no, I feel like the office is still going to be there. We're still going to have staging areas for equipment for clients. We're still going to have shipping and receiving. People still need to collaborate. But I think it's going to be a little bit different. I want to embrace remote, work from home fully and just go forward acting like we've always done it this way. So I want to leverage that. But where I think the office is going to change is we've always had good corporate culture. And I talked about earlier, how we like to be personable and have fun and inside jokes, Nerf gun wars. You can't do that remotely, Zoom or with Google Meets. So where I think it's going to change is before you had to come in the office. That's how we knew you were working. That's how you reported to work, right? People saw your face. Where I think it's going to change now is, at least for us, the office is there for when you have to be there, like when you really need to be there and you can't do it remote. You have to put hands on, but also because you want to be there. So I want it to be a place where, it wasn't where everyone had to post up with their laptops and keyboards and mice. It was, now it's come, stay a while, share some jokes, have some fun. But, if you only need to be at the office for a few hours or a few minutes, that's fine too. So I think more frequent visits, but less, probably less people in the building, and probably a lot less times we're going to, need to have to come in. And I think that's going to be the shift for us.
Right. I think it's going to be a shift for a lot of businesses, honestly. Oh, yeah. They're looking now at, okay, we've gotten our productivity's either been better or remain the same without having to be in an office building. What's that rent note again? What's that lease schedule? What are we paying a month right now for this type of space?
We were looking at expanding, and we were in a 2,500 square foot space now. Before that, we came from something like 1,400 square feet. And so we added 1,000. We thought that was great. We had another bathroom, more parking spots. It was all amazing. But I mean, going forward, we were maybe talking about getting something like 5,000 or more, or buying. Were we going to purchase? If that still makes sense, then yeah. But right now, I don't think it's in the cards. I think right now we're really gonna have fun doing this remote thing a lot more.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't see the need for a big old huge space.
Oh, yeah. Why have it? Why pay for it whenever everybody's got this set up now? I mean, you're an IT company. Everybody should have an adequate setup at home to work remotely. If not,
if you didn't,
I think the business model is kind of failing there.
Like, I felt the pinch. I mean, I can work from home and bring my laptop anywhere, but it wasn't set up to stream, or it wasn't set up to be really efficient. That first week to 10 days, I was on a stool with no back at the bar of my counter, and trying to make that work with kids around, and that didn't work. So, I mean, even now, I don't have a permanent desk, although for the longest time I was trying to push my home office away because I felt like I couldn't get my personal space. I couldn't remove. Didn't we just start this out talking about, are you the serial entrepreneur and you can't turn it off? It was starting to get toxic and invade my personal space in life, making relationships harder. So I pushed it away for the last 2 years and was successful. Now I'm bringing it all back. I got more stuff than I had before. I mean, what? And now I'm streaming. I got 3 different webcams and a Halo. I never had this stuff before. So I was feeling the pinch. I'm still on a folding table. You just make do with what you have. And I spent the first 2 weeks trying to get my home office where it needed to be, thinking this would be months and months. But now I'm seeing that this might be a while. And I'm going to be positioned to work at home or the office now. And like we said before, coming and going at ITinspired is going to be different. So now I want them to have the setup at home, and I want them to have the same or better setup at the office if they need it there, or vice versa. So let's just enable that and see where it goes. I think we're going to have a lot of efficiencies and effectiveness in doing so.
And I think that's going to be a conversation most, if not all, businesses outside of like a restaurant or somebody that has to be on the premise are going to have.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to start having conversations of, okay, what was your house set up like? What was your home set up like? Did you prefer that over your office setup? Are there some changes we need to make at the office to accommodate better than what you had at the house? Because if your house is more inviting to work at, are you really going to want to come in to the office?
That's right. And then that's the thing. I hope to actually tap into what makes, I think I have a good idea, but this is going to shift the way things have been and the way we view things going forward. So, but I want to go back to like actually tapping into why people would want to come to the office and making it impactful and awesome there and exciting, but also, to have the distractions that you're willing to have, but also shut out the ones you don't need.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's just as important.
So I want to go back a couple steps and a couple years in the timeline. What's your back history, man? Like, where'd you come from? How'd you get to ITinspired?
Okay. Good question. How far do you want to go back?
I got time.
Okay, man. So I'll put it to you this way. I think I liked business. I didn't know the big E word entrepreneurship when I was young, but I always liked doing business. So I like doing work and being rewarded for that. So I think it started when I was young. So if we're going to talk years, we're going to talk young.
What kind of kid were you?
7 through 9. I was introverted. Then the go figure, right?
Really?
I grew up. If we're really going to start somewhere, I was born in Las Vegas. My parents divorced when I was about 5 or 6. We stayed there till about I was 7, and I made the cross country trip to the lower, I guess, Panhandle. I was in Miami and Fort Lauderdale for 2 years. We bounced around a lot, different schools, different apartments, different houses that we rented. And it was like new friends, new spaces all the time. So it was when we finally put roots down in New Orleans, when my mom transferred to New Orleans to be closer to family, that I actually found that I had way more family than I thought I had. And a lot more friends that became family too. I got to say that about Louisiana. Not being a native here sure make you feel welcome, and you never want to leave once you get a taste. So, but going back to that, I always like cutting grass or washing cars, but we all kind of switched and changed with my first Mardi Gras parade. I was amazed at what was going on. It was nothing like I'd ever seen, but at the same time, at the end, I'm looking around and like everyone's kind of walking away, right? But the culture shock to me of like, look at all this trash and litter. I hate litter. So I'm looking around like, what the hell is going on? Everyone's leaving this mess. And then you see the street sweepers, right, coming like a half a mile off. Stuff's everywhere. It's dark outside. And I just saw so much dirt and trash and stuff. I always liked crunching cans. So I was like, ding, 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 recycle. So I knew you could make a buck recycling. So every can, every bottle that I could pick up and put on my bike or in a trash bag, garbage bag, plastic bag from Schwegmann's or something, or Dornax, I threw it in there and I took it home, crushed them, and brought them to make a couple pennies and dollars. And I really got a lot of fulfillment out of just doing work and being paid for it. So it started there. And as soon as I could, wash my own cars or make flyers, about cutting grass or doing it. It just led into one thing to the next. And I learned customer service. I learned about business. I learned about the relationship. And I just kept saying yes instead of saying no. So transfer that to, going to LSU. I'm fast forwarding, like this is 100 times fast forward, but
let's do it.
I make my way to LSU, and I'm there, and I decide to I had this idea for one of my pets. I'm going to create an invention. So I created a little, what I called tree gym for my birds at the time, so they could play on and rest on, and started selling that, and made a website for it. And I was like doing stuff on the side, but to officially answer your question with a huge run-on sentence, I got my start out of LSU. I got a job where I was going to be an IT company. I was going to be with an IT company in New Orleans, and I didn't know much about it, but I had a degree. I immediately showed up and saw that all the folks that didn't have degrees but had gotten real life vocational tech and training, they were further ahead than me. And what did I just get myself into the last 5 years? So that job was kind of funny because after about a month, my paycheck started bouncing. That sounds kind of weird, but I would get a paycheck and it was real. I would go to the bank and they wouldn't cash it. And they would say, insufficient funds. And I didn't know what that meant. So my first job out of college wasn't that great. The leadership wasn't great. The organization wasn't great, but it taught me a lot. And so I spent about 3 to 6 months trying to figure out my next move. Got a student worker job at a state agency through a friend of mine that I was an LSU cheerleader with. It just goes crazy from there.
So wait. Pause.
Yeah.
Wait. You were an LSU cheerleader.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, that's awesome. I see it in the background. I see the yep.
My first megaphone.
Oh, I love it. So,
that's something that I never would have thought would have led to like a career, right? That was the defining moment to lead me to the job that I got into IT. I was finally a consultant, and that job is also kind of interesting too. I wound up getting my start there as basically a student worker / intern, and did a good job. Tried to make myself indispensable, and within about 2 to 3 months, I got a job offer. So I stayed there as a student worker, worked my way up to COO, and was there for about 9.5 years. Left that company to start ITinspired, and that's been 7 years in the making, and that is my really long story.
But it's a great story. I would not have known that you were an LSU cheerleader. I mean, now I'm looking at the background and I'm seeing, the megaphone in the back and a lot of the LSU paraphernalia. I thought you were just another normal LSU fan, but apparently you're a little bit, it bleeds deeper.
Well, so if you didn't know that one, then you'll like this one probably because, cheerleader, schmearleader, most of the time, people don't give the credit for the cheerleaders and the amazing job that they do and the hard work and the practice and all the injuries and all that. They do not give you credit for that, okay? They
right.
Even borderline, is it a sport? So, but what really takes the cake is people really like that I was Mike the Tiger for about 2 years.
Man,
that's my claim to fame, man. That's what gets the most notoriety.
Claim to fame is Mike the Tiger. See, I knew a Mike, LSU cheerleader. So
there you go.
I didn't do any of that. I was way too busy doing other things at LSU. I was trying to start a business and meet new people and network and all kinds of different things.
I wish I would have started a business in college. Look at all the folks that did and where they are now. Starting a business in college sounds like a great idea, but something's going to take more time and the other one's going to fall to the wayside. I believe if you're not disciplined then, you have to learn a lot. There's so much that comes with it.
Absolutely. You're learning A, what your craft is, and B, you still have to keep on top of your school. And while if you're dealing with a customer and you have a professor breathing down your neck, and who takes the cake?
And then, what comes first, tailgating or that invoice that you need to send out? I get it. There's trade-offs, no doubt. But I guess what I'm trying to say there is I look back at that thinking, wow, if you could have taken the risk and the opportunity then, as opposed to being set in a career or an industry, or, your path is kind of like, I'm just going to go status quo this way. When you look back at the risks, or at least taking the leap of faith and the jump towards that entrepreneurship at that stage, that is what I would highly encourage. But I mean, it's got to be right for everybody.
Right. And it's funny that you say that, because a lot of people I talk with, they've been in their own business for a couple of years now, and they're always very first to say that. They're very forward with saying, look, if I'd have known then what I know now, I would have taken the risk a long time ago. And to me, the question then becomes, so how do you know when? How do you know at that young age when is the right time to take the move? When is the right time to take the leap?
If you're like me, you're always questioning your value, worth, and confidence level to do something like that, to pull it off. But then at the same time, I used to look, it's a horrible way of looking at it, but I mean, I guess there's a whole lot of people that don't know. And to be quite honest, every entrepreneur, if they tell you they know what they're doing, or that in my opinion, we're all figuring it out as best we can.
Yeah.
Given the information we have to date, right? We talked about that. You're the time stamp. This is all going back.
Yes, it's you don't know what you don't know. You think you know what you know.
Until you
don't know, and it changes.
Yeah.
So when did you know the right time was to make that leap? I mean, because you said you worked your way up all the way to COO. Yeah. I mean, that's, for some people, they're like, all right, I hit the pinnacle. I'm here. Yeah, I'm at the C-suite. I'm at the top. But for you, that wasn't enough. So when was that shift kind of go for?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good question. And I guess I kind of always flirted with it, right? Or I guess to a certain extent, I really wish I had always exemplified the characteristics of being an owner, or of being a leader, of being a good manager. And when I got some studio audience coming up, Patty, I'm sorry. all good. Guys, Debbie's on a call. All right, so. I mean, I always flirted with, taking that next step, and I guess trying to better myself, or trying to push myself. And really, when it came down to putting the pedal to the metal, I guess it was still going back to that confidence level. It was going back. Have I proven myself? Have I done this before? Have I asked my son to turn off the tablet?
Welcome to COVID podcasting, everybody.
So now special guests airing on the Patty G Show.
That's it. Youngest guest to date. Welcome. Well,
there you go.
Youngest guest to date. Welcome.
All right, guys. Be careful down the steps.
I love it.
Shout out to all your parents out there doing the best.
That's right. Doing the best you can with what you got.
Yeah, leave it there, guys. I need the light on. Thanks. Yeah. Hey, you got it. Right?
Right.
Look, going back on that, I flirted with it. I tried to do the best I could in those shoes, put myself in that spot, and test my comfort zones. Really, when it came down to it, the question was, if they can do it, can I do it? Raw, as straight as I can tell you, it came down to, do I think I can do it better than that next person? Do I think I have a differentiating factor between what I can produce, what I bring to the table? And if that wasn't there before, well, if I bring it to the table, then can I be successful just bringing that to the table for myself? So I think it comes down to, do you think you can do it too? I think that's it. And then, maybe you're questioning, is this the right time? Or do I have the right people? Do I need a plan? Do I have the money? When are you ever going to have those things lined up? Because I have not to date had that lined up in the way that I needed it to, in the most optimal fashion. You always make do with what you have and make the best of it, as if your kids are coming upstairs in a live show.
That's it. You make the best of it and you roll with it. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what an entrepreneur does. You plan as best you can. You factor out and you limit the risks as best as you can. But at the same time, stuff's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. You can plan for what you anticipate will happen, but sometimes what we anticipate will happen never truly happens, or it happens in a way we didn't predict it.
Yeah.
And then it's when you're in the grind and you're in the mud of everything, it's how do you respond to it? And how do you move forward past the obstacles?
And look, we're seeing that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, never been more true than right now.
Absolutely. It's the businesses that were, I mean, I can't even say prepared because nobody can prepare for this.
No, I mean,
you can't prepare.
Creating a training plan, a strategy, and I'm sorry, the camera over here is freaking out.
You're good.
But no, I mean, I just a few days ago, I created a PPE training video that didn't exist, and I'm not even qualified to train anybody, but I know that at least for the knowledge that I have and for the resources at the time with the information available, I'm going to give my people what they need to be successful or safe. So, I mean, you're going to do that. And that turned into creating a document, make a video, get them all to sign it. I mean, you're going to take on the roles and the responsibilities necessary to do what it takes. And again, do you think you can do that better than someone else that's already doing it? Go ahead and be an entrepreneur then.
Do it. Jump off in the deep end. Feet first. So how did the company take it whenever you kind of, I mean, did you tell them, hey, I'm starting my own thing, or did you just show up one day and like, hey, here are the keys to the building, I'm out?
That's a tough one, but I'll say that I gave my 2 weeks.
What can you say?
Yeah, let's just say that I gave my 2 weeks, and that was an inflection point right then and there. I mean. I did what I thought was best for me, my development, my family, my team, and even for that company too. I mean, it wasn't right for me to be there anymore. Things started to get a little toxic. Things started to get where they weren't like they were the 8 or 9 years before that. So, and I think when I was in some webinar this week and we're talking about something similar, but when it's time as a business owner or entrepreneur or manager to where that person that's on your team doesn't need to be there anymore and is no longer of value, or it becomes toxic, the relationship isn't good, they're no longer productive or whatever, when you start making up those, I think what it was called was something contracts, like personal contracts. When you make a personal contract in your brain, you're taking all the information in there, but those things aren't necessarily a real written contract. They might have been something that you've made up yourself. And sometimes when you get to that point, and those unspoken contracts that you've made up here don't quite match with what the horizon looks like, gets a little weird, gets a little awkward, and it's not good for anybody. So as like an entrepreneur or manager, when you know that someone needs to go and it's their time, you're doing yourself a favor, but you're doing them a favor too, because they might not have left that situation had you not acted on it, right? They might have stayed in that spot that entire time, been unhappy, disengaged, and they're still there. Well, is that really who you want working for you? Are you going to pay for that?
Right.
Would you pay for that with your own money? No. And then I think on the flip side, you as an employee, because I've been on both sides, and I think you have to. I think as a manager, as an entrepreneur, as an employee, you need to know where everyone's at and have visited or flirted in those areas and arenas prior to get a good mindset on what it takes to take the next step, but also to have empathy and compassion for the people that are there doing it. So what I'm trying to say is, as an employee too, when you know that the company's not treating you right, when you know that things are getting toxic and you shouldn't be there, your energies are being depleted, your energy level, your bucket is being drained. When it gets bad, take the next step. You're not doing anyone a favor being on a team where you're toxic or spreading negativity, because that spreads like a virus. We're seeing that. And so as soon as you should act on it too, and challenge yourself to always take the next step that's best for you, for your self-development, for your next path or career. And I think you need to step outside those comfort zones on both sides. All the way from the entrepreneur down to, the intern. You're going to need to challenge that to really know where you fit.
Right.
Does that make sense? Did that get like too soapboxy or something?
Excuse me. No, that was spot on. Unless you know yourself, you can't help other people.
Oh, 100%, right? 100%.
Yeah.
Because yeah. Thank you.
I mean, if I'm in a position that I'm working in a job and I'm just there just because it's putting food on my table, and it's not something that really gets me up in the morning. I mean, you get up and you can tell from both sides, whether you can tell that internally yourself or your employer can tell that if you're working for somebody. If you're showing up, always late, or you're showing up and it's just, you don't look thrilled to be there, as a manager, you got to say, hey, what's going on? Yeah. Is it something in your life personal? Like, can we give you some paid off time to figure out what's going on at your home? Or is it the work environment? Are you not happy here? Are you not satisfied with what you're doing? Can we put you on different projects? Can we shift you around? What can we do to make you happy? Because ultimately, if your employees aren't happy, you're going nowhere. I mean, your ship now has a hole in it that you're not aware of. And over time, it's going to fill up with water.
Either. Yeah. Water's rising. No one's helping you bail the water out. The bilge pump is not working.
And no one told you. No one told you that the fuse is blown and you're just slowly but surely sinking.
You're up there in the crow's nest like, man, the waves are high. Is it high tide? Waves are high. Waves are coming up. Man, is this the Bering Sea? And I'm in deadliest catch? No. The ship's going down, dude. Captain, And if you're not one with your crew or your mates, you're second in command. I don't know. Communication, engagement, your purpose, your passion. Hopefully that's aligned in your career. If not, and look, we also need to go back, because some people can't, change jobs. So some people need to draft, that I'm saying, if you don't like it, go change it. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. Single mothers don't have that luxury. There's some caregivers that don't have that option, and it might take a complete industry or shift, workforce development to even get you there with new training. Some people don't have that luxury, but the idea there is to say, strive for it, fight for it, go find it if you can, because it will exist. It'll be there somewhere, or there'll be a stepping stone along the way to get you there. And if not, ask for help. If not, network. If not, ask me. And so just that's where that's coming from. But we know the reality is that not everyone has those resources or abilities to do that.
Yeah, it's not everybody can uproot their life and move off to a different job for a dozen different reasons. I mean, it's not that simple to make that shift. But the first step is reaching out. Yes. The first step is knowing that you need to ask for help in a way that you may not even know that person could help you.
And acknowledging your situation, being aware of your situation, right?
Right.
Being able to know what your status is, because if you can't help yourself, you can't help anyone else. Knowing your situation, awareness of what you're going on, the mindfulness of where you're at, how you're thinking, what the stress levels are, that can help guide you to the next right step. But it's going to have to be step after step after step. I mean, don't expect to just leapfrog into a brand new career, life, and lifestyle. It doesn't really happen like that.
Yeah, it's patience is your biggest friend when it comes to something like that. Having the patience.
Worst enemy for those who aren't patient like me.
And I think that's, especially in young entrepreneurs, I see it. A lot of them, they want to go from startup to, selling for 7-8 figures overnight. And it's that doesn't happen. That's not the norm. The norm is you're in there 24/7 for years before something happens.
Sure. I mean, you develop the network, the friends, the support system, and all those soft skills and things you pick up along the way. I mean, you're absorbing, you might not realize that, you might not be conscious of that, but you're absorbing that the entire time. And that's why when you timestamp, Patty G from 2.5 years ago to Patty G today, from Patty G a week and a half ago, you're different people with different experiences and knowledge, and data points. So all that can influence a decision or behavior, and knowing where you're at then, though, is the key.
Yeah, knowing where you are now and what you're learning now is, don't. I always tend to overanalyze situations I find myself in, and I'll be like, "Oh gosh, is this like?" And I always go for the worst part. You always go on the dark side. But eventually you come around to the bright side, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I look at the situation. Like, all right, what is happening? Okay, all right, that didn't look so good. But wait a minute, no, it didn't. Hold on, that actually didn't turn out as bad as I thought it was. Then I find myself into a similar situation again. All right, let me try this because it worked well the first time, but let me tweak the stuff that was bad. And then that's that learning and developing to where you get to the point of you're now doing stuff subconsciously that you're not even aware of, but you can look back and you can see those steps. You can see those, those pebbles along the way of how you got to where you are. And that goes back to that self-awareness and just, okay, where am I at now? Where am I going to go forward from here?
Well, look for me, early entrepreneur stage, the way we started out, like, even if I was washing cars, and that's where, a lot of this started. I was washing my mom's car, and the neighbor says, "Hey, will you wash mine?" Well, yeah, you'll pay me? Sure. I'll pay you this much, and that first car, I probably made $3, right? But in that moment, I was like, well, so this can be a thing. And then it was, all right, well, do you want me to wash it like next week too? Your car's going to get dirty. And then it did. I also learned like, well, $3 isn't good enough. Maybe like $7. The amount of work I'm doing, the type of services. And then it even went to like, yeah, I'm washing a car and I've done it for this person. But now they're referring me to, Miss Janice, three buildings down the way. I've never met her before. And she wants me to clean her, back patio. And do I do odd jobs? So in that moment, I was like, well, I'm kind of getting stretched thin, but I'm still going to earn this money. I'm still going to make contacts. But I guess what I'm trying to say there was, in the moment, I knew that after doing a few and sort of getting a rhythm and knowing what to expect from myself as well as what customers were expecting, because I could not tell you what the next person was going to ask me to do. And, a young kid, I'm going to do it. So I guess what I'm saying is, in that moment, I was able to adjust because I knew that, man, I'm working my tail off. I'm sweating. I just spent, an hour and a half on this car. I normally don't wax it, or I normally don't do the interior. But, man, now I got to get these extra resources. It's taking me longer. I should be making more money. And so, I was able to raise my worth, raise my value of the services, but also my own self-esteem in doing so and handling those situations, in handling those clients. So if you can absorb it along the way, those were the early stages of me learning about customer service. Those were the early stages of me learning how to price services. And
Absolutely.
So you don't learn that starting out at ITinspired, day one, saying we're going to be owners now. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. No, you have to earn your way up. And it's funny, I did a lawn business as well throughout high school. My brothers and I started it when I was 11. And this was way back before, child labor was really looked at deeply.
Let's talk about today. We're talking about child labor.
Right. My brother was 16.
At a young level.
Yeah, my brother was 16, my other brother was 14, and I was 11, and we were cruising the streets of Baton Rouge, cutting grass. It was fantastic.
Y'all have a name?
Yeah, Cajun Cutters.
Come on, that's nice.
Cajun Cutters Lawn Care, that was us. It was fun. So, but anyway, so then from there, then my brothers graduated, and I started doing a lawn business on my own because I'm like, I can do this myself. Like, they're off in college. They don't want to do it anymore. I can keep doing this. And so I would that's what basically funded me through high school and everything. Then I met some people that owned Roberto's River Road restaurant. I met Roberto. And I was like, hey, y'all hiring for a busser? I need another job. This lawn care is whatever. I need something to do for the weekend. So then I started bussing. And then I met a neighbor down the street, and I started throwing hay for him, for 25 cents a bale. Yeah. It was a blast. And then my neighbor, she once her husband passed, she needed somebody to cut her grass because she lived on like 2 acres of land. Yeah. So I would cut my parents' grass, and I would go cut her grass, and she'd pay me. And then she was like, "Well, do you know anybody who who cuts down trees. I've got 7 willow trees around my pond that I need to get cut down. And I'm like, I do. I sure do. I'll cut them down for you.
That's
Call
it.
3 buddies up and we cut down 7 willow trees.
What?
And it's just it's one thing after another, and you find yourself, you want that next job, you want that next thing as an entrepreneur, you keep fighting. And you're like, what can I do next?
It's probably like that runner's next mile, you know, they got the high and they keep running. I mean, I ran, you don't look it, but I ran once or twice to get that president's medal in middle school. Yeah, I did that. No, I mean, that's it. And you just explained how the young entrepreneur or the young business owner can get work and how it leads into something. Do a good job one time. Make a raving fan one time, you know? Have a good customer service one time, and it will spread. Have one bad, negative customer service experience. It will take you at least 12 more instances for you to recover from that. You've broken the trust. And so I learned that. I learned what it was like to, you know, let a customer down or for them to not pay me right away. So you learned that. I mean, that's when I look back at those were the early stages, man. That taught me a lot of fundamentals in people, in business, but just in life right there. And if you're willing to accept what comes next, you're gonna learn and grow from it. You're not stunting your growth.
Yeah, it's you're constantly growing, you're constantly evolving because you're learning new traits, you're learning new skills you don't recognize. Yeah. Like even like so that one customer that goes bad, okay, what do we do to respond to that one customer? We can't just let it go. We can't just let it sit to the wayside. How do we respond to them? Because like you said, it's at least 12, 15. I don't know the exact. I'm sure there's a study that's been done that somebody has analyzed a bunch of data and said how many customers on average does it take to overcome a negative review? Yeah. But for me, I'm like, okay, what can we do to fix that one customer? What can we do to have that customer come back? We don't want to retract their statement. We want them to say what they say because we needed to show that, hey, we messed up here. But what can we do to make them come back and say, oh my gosh, you will not believe what they did. They came back after they made a mistake and just blew me out of the water with kindness, with customer service. And I was totally turned off to them, but now I'm a customer for life. And I think those are the customers that you earn over the long time are the ones that were bad that you turn into an extreme positive, as opposed to somebody that just comes on and has a great experience. That's great. But that person that's got a bad experience and you then show them who you really are, because when the darkness shows up, people's colors really start to appear.
When stress and, you know, frustrations come out, absolutely. Under duress, 100. Under pressure, yes. With fear and anxiety, yes. That will happen. And I mean, it's your response. It's absolutely your response. And, you know, it's easier to keep a customer happy than it is to turn that bad customer service experience around to a positive one. And yeah, I mean, I'm using data from like, I think probably a year or 2 years ago. I think it was 12 or 13 next, you know, positive interactions for it to actually recover, the relationship to recover. And I'll say this too. So start out strong. Start out with that relationship being strong and hitting all those expectations and setting them right. Because over time, when you've been proven, right, and the trustworthy, honest producer of these things or getting stuff done, then the relationship's strong enough where you can take it one on the chin and you can recover faster. You had a blip, man. We know you were off the radar for a minute. We got you. It's totally cool. That never happens. You know, you will get so much more flexibility and leeway with someone if you've over time proven that you will continue to produce and provide. And so, I mean, that's it. I mean, make that raving fan early, keep them happy often. But let's not forget, you need to keep your employees happy. Like if I can take another step outside of this, it would be, look, treat your employees like family and treat your employees better than you would treat your customers, because they will in turn treat your customers that way. You've shown them how to do it. You've conditioned them to this is what to expect. Things can be really great, guys. You know, things can be really cool and amazing. So what I'm saying there, though, is treat your employees great. They will treat your customers even better. And your customers are going to be repeat customers. And when you do have a blip on the radar or something goes wrong, that cycle's still turning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going so fast that, you know, the centrifugal force can't knock it off its axis or orbit. So go strong, go hard and strong on the relationship to begin with. Keep it strong over time. And look, you're going to screw up. And when it happens, no one's going to notice. And if they do, admit it. Be honest with it. Be accountable for it and fix it. But after that, you're golden again. And the system's back and running.
You gotta get the system running.
Daddy.
Yeah, and that's you said it best. I mean, that's if businesses that don't acknowledge their failures are the ones that end up sinking. If something bad happens and they just let's take it, let's just put it over here, let's throw it, let's Kobe it and just let it sit.
Yeah,
you know, it's the one to say, okay, here's something we messed up. We messed up bad. How can we turn this into an opportunity? How can we take this and showcase who we really are and do the best PR, best branding that we can to say, look, we messed up big time. Here's how we fixed it. And here's how we're going to make sure it's not going to happen again.
That's it. And I can feel comfortable that you acknowledge the situation. You were vulnerable enough to say it out loud. And if you say it out loud, I mean, just in general and in life and business, whatever, you want to get something done, talk about it. Talk about it, you know, share it, express it, advocate for it. That makes you accountable for it. I mean, I found that I kind of backed my way into that through business, but it took me just a little bit to realize that, man, if you're vocal about stuff and you get that out there, people are going to ask questions when you don't do it or you don't follow through. And so it's kind of a nice little checks and balances to keep you accountable. And I'm sorry I'm going off on every tangent possible. But
I love it.
I mean, that's me, dude. I'm ADHD as you know what. So
it's all get out.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's where it's at. And if you can just admit it and move on with that experience, you're going to be better for it. Everyone's going to be better for it. But I guess what I was going to say was, who holds a CEO accountable? Come on. Who holds the CEO accountable?
The direct customer may not.
Maybe. I find that there's a lot of, you know, semblance of accountability going down. But as soon as you get close to the top, you might be in a position where people won't tell you what you want to hear or the truth, you know, and so
they're too afraid.
You're in a position that could, you know, change an opinion, a lifestyle, or someone's livelihood. And when that's at risk, are you really going to buck the system? So I found it, if you are just accountable and vulnerable and you know, you're empathetic about it, but curious enough to find a solution and honest enough to do that, to be finding another solution or fix, then you're gonna be okay. It's gonna work itself out. But if you don't do that, and you don't have checks and balances at the top, things can get kind of crazy.
And when they do that, then you're gonna knock yourself off that axis.
Boom, out of orbit now.
That's it. So starting to wind down a little bit on the show.
Is that possible?
I don't think it is. Not wind down, wrap up. There we go. Wrap up. We're going to wrap up the show, because if not, we'll be here, and next thing I know, it'll be Friday. So I was going to ask you, you know, what are 2 lessons that you've taken away throughout this process? But I think you kind of gave them, you know?
There's more.
2 lessons, go.
Can I tell you 2 lessons that I learned today?
Let's do it.
Literally learned 2 lessons today. First one's ask more questions.
Yes.
Let me give you some context, but yeah, I learned some amazing lessons today through the Edward Lowe Foundation, the Louisiana Economic Development, you know, the LED actually in all this crisis mode offered up to the Louisiana Growth Leaders Network. They offered up the ability for this webinar, this workshop this week that was 3 days long. I just finished it today, met some amazing people, but it was facilitated, and they brought up the 7 deadly sins of leadership or asking questions. And dude, I ask questions. I got them all wrong. I am a sinner in all 7.
You're a deadly sinner
for asking questions. So I need some growth there, some progress there, and I need to ask more questions and talk less. So the thing there was, what's your ask to tell ratio? And I really had to ask myself, tell the truth, but what is your ask to tell ratio? And look, I'm not happy with it. I need some work. So that's my first one. Check out that book too, or that 7 Deadly Sins of that is insane. And you'll learn a lot. The other one is basically autonomy. I want to allow, we already have a good amount, I think, but I want more autonomy in my organization. I think that will make us more nimble, as a company. I think it will allow people to shine and get that creative, that creative flow going on how to fix things or solve problems or tweak processes. So those are my 2 things. I would say 2 lessons I learned today: ask more questions, and then also, see what you can do about adding a level of autonomy in your life and with your company.
I love it. So why Baton Rouge? Or what makes Baton Rouge so special to you?
Man, I've had a lot, we've talked about this, but I had a lot of places that I called home.
Right.
But, I was born in Las Vegas and I love Nevada. I lived in Florida, bounced around there plenty. Home is Louisiana. And I never felt more home. It used to be New Orleans, but now it's Baton Rouge. And I remember when I was living in New Orleans for all those years, going through middle school and high school or whatever, Baton Rouge, when I did come here, seemed like a college town. And I never really liked it when I was here going to LSU. I went back to New Orleans, had that experience, and, I wound up finding myself back here for a student worker position. And now I've got roots. Now I've got a family and a business. Why Baton Rouge? Because there's no other better place for me and my people or my business. This city is incredible. And we have so many resources, such a great culture. And we don't need to compete with Lafayette or with New Orleans or nobody, because Baton Rouge is home for me and a lot of other people that are amazing. And so that's why Baton Rouge. I don't see any other place. There's no other place I'd call home besides Baton Rouge. That's why.
Preach. Oh, I love that, man.
I wish more people loved it, man.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm here for, dude. I'm trying to showcase that. I'm trying to bring that out and just show it to everybody that I can.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm trying to do the same with my little shows as well. And the amazing people here and the amazing programs or companies or nonprofits that don't get, an ounce of exposure or advocacy that they should, man, that's it. I want to bring light to that too. And I look, thank you for even having a platform to do that, buddy, because this is important right now and it's important all the time. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's going to continue to be important, especially with the next steps of getting back to the Baton Rouge that we know and love. And apparently I have to now experience what Charles Pierce says, you give the best hugs. So
God, I love me some Chuck too, man. Oh man, I wonder what his beard is looking like right now.
Check him out on the Jada Cody show, man. They do the live. Check out his beard on the Jada Cody show.
I do. 107.3, baby. Yes,
that's absolutely. It. Talk 107.3, the new flavor of talk.
Look, there's Kenny right there.
Yeah.
I watch you and Kenny's show.
It's good. Ooh. Anybody that hasn't watched or listened to the show with Kenny Wynn from 368, go give that a listen.
Best workplaces. Come on, man. Best workplaces in Louisiana Inc. magazine, dude. Dude, we had a chance to win that twice. We won it 2 times in a row. And I'm telling you right now, I would give all those up to be in Kenny Wynn in 368 spot right now, being the only one in Louisiana that ever win it this year, blowing it out. Did you see their culture page, what they released?
Yes. That was impeccable.
Foaming at the mouth, man. Are you serious?
Kenny's doing something right.
They all are. And look, thank you for having Kenny on the show. He does a lot of good work in this community. They give back. I mean, there's a lot of good people that you've highlighted, brother, that they need some time to say it too. The news is kind of crazy. I'd rather be getting information like this from great people that are doing really good things. So thank you. Thank you for having
I don't intend to slow down, dude. Thank you for coming on. Final question is, what can I do to help you?
What can you do to help me?
Yeah. In whatever realm you can think of, man. What can I do to help?
All right. Okay. Thank you for asking that. That took me a minute, man. I'm not gonna lie. You know what? Let's just spread the love. Get someone from Kids Orchestra on here. Get someone from Junior League of Baton Rouge. From Junior Achievement. From the great people at Junior Achievement. Like, you know, there's and you know, Rachel Hebert from Star. Keep doing what you're doing. That's what I want you to do. That's what you can do for me. Get some more awesome freaking people on here so I can learn from them. And we keep this thing going, man. We keep this love train just steaming full speed ahead.
Amen, brother. Amen. I'll do that. I'll do that.
I'll do it if you do it.
Let's do it together. Alrighty, well, everybody's probably tuned out by now or falling asleep, one or the other. Or maybe they're still there. I don't really know anymore. But either way, I had a blast, man. This was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so very much for coming on. I really appreciate it, Robert.
It was an honor, dude. Thank you.
So for everybody listening to the show, this is the latest rendition of the Patty G Show. I am your host, Patty G, here with Robert Wise from ITinspired. Be sure to go check them out. Also, give the show and the page a like and a share. Subscribe to the podcast. Come on, we got 10 reviews on iTunes as of today. Let's bump those numbers up. And if you need anything IT related, give Robert a call. Thank y'all and have a good night.